was among the people. But he might have heard about us. So when we are near to him, to remove him, to drink water from the jar is even easier, is even harder than to remove Jammeh.
So, Kamara.
Would that be the case?
Because of that? Because of that. Because of that.
Proceed.
Yo, Kamara.
Because of that.
Possible.
When that failed,
so Amura Tata Liberia.
He went back to Liberia.
Ibrahim Bulaji.
When he left us there,
Naraji Beko.
We came and later realized that
so Senegal government ko Purundole Muro.
The Senegalese government also told us to go back. Because we will not come all the way to our country. We leave Senegal and go back to Liberia again.
So
whatsoever the case may be,
so we
will make sure that we enter our country.
So
in that,
so
we realized that
the
only thing that we can do is that let's use people who can be able to talk to them so that they can give us support. But before all that, when they realized that Kukoi has returned back, they decided to go after our people who were based at Tambakunda, and they were arrested.
Who arrested them?
Senegal government.
The Senegalese government.
So the Senegalese government knew of the existence of your group in Senegal.
Senegal.
When Kukoi was there, they were providing us with lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
So, but when
Kukoi left and returned,
negotiation at left so
so when Kukoi returned, they stopped all the support they were giving us because the negotiation which was supposed to take place also failed. And so in that case, that's why they decided to turn around.
So when
we realized that they are not ready, and Kukoi has already left,
so
and then we ourselves realized, especially after our people were arrested at Tambakunda,
so
we decided to choose Suandi Kamara, because Suandi said he knew a colonel.
So a colonel Wad.
Somebody called Colonel Wad.
So another anyway Nyolan.
He said he is acquainted to that man.
So Colonel
that colonel
81 coup.
In the 81 coup,
Swandi kani we Nyolo time ola we Sandara Moro Kejan.
Swandi said he knew that man during the time of Zandam after the 81 coup because the man was based in the Gambia. He said, let's allow him to go and visit that man. If he goes to that man, and after they discuss, maybe after that, we might be able to get support from these people, so maybe they will change their mind and they will help us. Because Kukoi had already left us here and we don't know when he is coming back. And the support we were getting from these people in terms of food and other needs is no longer available.
So,
but when Suwandi was going, a man should use his brain.
Nara fonya ko.
He told me,
Katale de.
I'm going.
Yende modol arrest.
Some of our people have been arrested. And I have to reach them so that those people also will be released.
But
now if I go, if you don't see me back, you should know that I have been arrested.
So
when he went, it took for some days. We didn't see him. We didn't hear anything about him. Then we said to ourselves the thought that Swandi informed us about that might have happened. Then we later heard that he was arrested.
So
at that moment, after that incident, then we also realized that so we cannot go back to Liberia because we don't have money. Now what are we going to do? Because we are already at the borders of our country and we cannot go in. Then we should, what should we do to be able to enter the country? And some of our people had already been arrested. Because you cannot be joining somebody, we cannot join with somebody in a particular thing, and that person comes to harm, and you were the people who planned that together, and now you decide to leave that person in that problem. That's betrayal. That's not good.
So
so that was the time we sat down.
So ni Ablai Sonko.
Myself and Ablai Sonko. Then we told them that so far we have not seen Swandi. Now what we are going to do is let's look at different options. An option which can help us to remove Yaya Jammeh. Let's look at those options.
So
and those options are, one of them was we realized that at that time we don't have no arms apart from those toy guns just for birds.
So what do we know what it is?
And you can't go to any place with that gun.
So Ablai Sonko.
Then I told Ablai Sonko.
So Ablai Sonko
Ablai Sonko said to me, now what we are going to do, we will try.
So
and try and go to Gambia.
So Kajibe
and look around what we can do to remove Yaya Jammeh. I came to the Gambia.
So intelligent
that was part of my intelligence operations, because apart from Ablai Sonko, nobody was aware of my coming into the Gambia and my going out of the Gambia. Because the way I came into the Gambia, that's another thing that I do by myself.
Was it the disappearing thing? Learn from Kanuma?
That's another idea. That's another experience.
So you came in and you went where?
So
my first trip into the Gambia, at that time Yaya Jammeh had a meeting at Fasin Jagachoy. I came into the Gambia. I went to their meeting venue to look around how they sit.
So at
that time, apart from Sana Sabali, they are all present there. So how can one look and to do something at that meeting place, to arrest him there?
So
how can one plan and do that?
So
apart from that also, He was supposed to go to Ndungu Kebe.
Kara Badu Kerawan nyol.
Go to Baribu Kerawan.
So unka o mirindulal be wok sabula kaji be ye mirindulal ko mirin ko nyaade la ni mo samuta no lando nyaade.
I observed the way all those meetings were held and check how can one get hold of him at one of those meeting places.
So
during that process, did you encounter any Gambian intelligence officers or any security personnel?
Wato nyi bicho nyumbe kono be ite be law kul ke kan fo inin tanko bunda mo nyo soto de bam membe kala fa be kala kullu bunda mo le de bam waranto sojari fanna la bam
hani
No.
You were not suspected at all?
mama je kasobila
puru to le sobinda
o meje kasobila
For them to suspect me.
it is sobinolanda because he makara ma londo soto.
They cannot suspect me because they don't know. They don't have the experience.
Because ndeka dun janyama o time.
Because the way I come into the country at that time,
atala mo NIA me be jikirila ni kuol me be jikirila.
the NIA and whatever his hopes were based on,
ma londo soto no.
they don't have that idea.
Because londo bendebulu.
Because I have an idea, wherever I want
knowledge
to enter.
Londo is knowledge, not idea.
Anyhow,
If I want to use that knowledge, I can go anywhere. You will not even know that it is me. I have that knowledge. Allah helped me to acquire that.
So
that's the knowledge I used to come into the Gambia.
So, but when I
realized that at those meeting venues,
AK-47
to have something that we can use, even if it is going to be an AK-47, maybe 1 or 2, because those kinds of operations, if you want to carry them out, that's a commando operation. If you want to carry out an operation like that, you have to have something. And if you are going to carry out an operation like that, you go with 2 things. You kidnap him there, or he dies there.
So you
go with one of these 2 options.
So
and if you are going with these 2 options,
so you have
to use knowledge. Because he's a president who was very pompous, may Allah forgive me.
So, but
as for us, the way we are going to approach him,
because in Libya,
in those days, he was full of this Libyan problem. Because it was in those days that Baba Job pumped him with information about this Libyan thing and explained things to him.
So,
and we were going to use that system.
So,
if we use that system, by the time we reach him, he will not even realize that we were his enemies.
So,
that's what he will think. He will think that these people are my people.
For how long were you in Gambia under reconnaissance mission?
Gambia for what
because Kabri 96 first election.
Since the first election in 96, that all found us in Senegal. I used to come to the Gambia.
State House, no?
I went all the way to State House.
You don't have State House?
And not for State House.
I came up to the State House. I went in just before the election. Those were the days when he was told to put aside the military uniform and stand as a civilian candidate. I came there twice.
na mission o menti
what my mission was, because I've already sworn.
So nara jemena wala muhendu ka lonko mo nyanta jang attack la nyaadire.
Just to observe how can one attack this place.
When you arrived at State House, did you have to show your documents in order to be allowed access?
For brief at State House. For yela kaitol tandila bam jandi be sonne dumba.
Ani ngasila dolo use.
No, I used another mean.
New the model naranyola.
I came with some people.
So
those people, I was among those people.
But all found maron demujumale.
But those people don't even know who I was.
Because I don't found
because you know there are certain things. You can make use of those things. And if I use those things, I can come and pass you here and you will not be even be aware of it.
Are those from Kanuma too?
And those things are available.
Why didn't you just walk to State House? Nobody would see you, and then you grab Yaya Jammeh and walk back out.
Ako muna na wala man tambidro yeta ma yeta for State House kono ya Jammeh damere ya mura ina findina.
Yalla abuka keno nya president fana ala aso fenel.
Things cannot be done like that. The president also is somebody who Allah has endowed with something.
So,
you have to look around. You have to use some ways before you reach him.
So, the mana silol sorono.
Then I was unable to get the chance of know where the armory was located. Because if you are going to attack a place,
so-called soldier,
I'm not talking about so-called soldiers, but real soldiers. You want to attack a place. The first place that you try to capture is the armory. If you are able to get the armory, you will succeed. But if you cannot get the armory, leave everything alone. You will fail.
So
this is what makes many soldiers to fail in their missions.
So
so when I was unable to locate the armory, we went back to Senegal. Then I told Abulai, I have tried means and ways to locate their armory, but I was unable to locate the armory.
So
then Abulai told me, now what we can do, the only place is Farafenye.
So
if we can use Farafenye, so that we can get arms from the Farafenye camp. If we have arms from Farafenye, we leave Farafenye and go against Banjul.
So Farafenye
and at Farafenye also, I came there on 2 occasions.
So for the camp
up to the camp or inside, I went inside the camp.
So I
go and sit down. I drink China green tea with them in their houses.
So Bachelor headquarters.
At the bachelor's headquarters.
So bari the Jama Malong
they don't even know who I was.
What did you tell them?
Window Jeba. At
that time, I used a young man,
but
that child
Kabiro Dembajan Domalem
is a younger brother to Kabiro Dembajang. Because the child was 18 years old. By that time, we were of the same height because he grew up quickly. But the young man doesn't even know who I was.
So,
that young man,
So wala dara ko ndekata kampo to kachana.
Yes, he said that he used to go to the camp to chat with them.
Arandela hajo for kampo.
And at that time, I had this business in that camp.
So okay, no problem.
Then I said to him, no problem.
So nara nyola.
I went along with him.
So ni nara nakara nyola ji.
So I used to go with him into the camp.
Did anybody ask you who you were?
No.
You just came, they just accepted you like that.
Yes.
And they were so accommodating, they would even take you to their house, to their accommodation, their houses and so forth.
Because
no, because that young man I used to go with know a lot of people in the camp. So they had no suspicion about me.
So
in that.
So
and when I went, until I knew that this place is their armory.
So time
that was the time I went back to my people in Senegal.
We also received evidence from Mr. Damfa that he too went to Farafenye.
Yes.
To do the same thing.
Yes.
Why was it necessary?
Just to remove Yaya Jammeh.
No, but was it necessary to do two different recognition missions?
Yes, it's worth it. Because what I thought
former soldier
is because he was a former soldier.
Maybe maybe
yes, maybe it might be worth it.
Okay, proceed. After all these recognition missions.
So
when I went there, after all that surveillance, that was the time when I went back. I informed my people.
So after
informing them,
so
okay. They said okay.
How are
we going to get money? To be able to perform this operation. Because to go empty-handed like this to Farafenye, that's not safe.
So
I sat with Ablai. I said to him, now what we are going to do.
So then
Ablai said to me, he said, my people, they can go to my people. But when we are going to Gambia, because my people are not aware that I am alive. So when we go there, you will go in. I will be outside.
So when
you go there, I have some brothers there.
So you
call them and chat with them. Don't call them in among the people. If you call them in front of certain people, they will cry. Then our plans will be revealed. I said okay.
So
when we went, I left him behind the village. I went into the village.
Which village?
Nyomi Berending.
So
when I arrived, I went to their home.
So I
met one of his brothers there. But that man has passed away by now. He was called Esa Sonko.
So no Kachara.
I discussed with him.
So bari birina be kacha.
But during our discussion, whatever I tell him, I said to him, something has been entrusted to me. But I was unable to come with it here. I left it out of the village.
So
but what I want, I am in a hurry. I want to return so that we can go together. I'll give it to you.
So
I came along with him up to the place where we left the village.
So at
that time where I left Ablai, that was the time when he sighted Ablai. When he saw Ablai, he put his two hands on his head. He shouted. He cried. When he cried, I told him, keep quiet. I told him this is the way of the life for a young man. Because somebody that you took for dead, until you decided to organize charity for that person, now you come to see that person alive, then you should be thankful to Allah. So now listen, because he's going to tell you something. That was the time when Ablai talked to him. Truly, we informed him of our plans.
So then
Ablai told him that whether we can be able to have some money so that you will help us with.
So
he said at that present moment he doesn't have any money. But Ablai has a friend there.
So he has
a relative there. That man also is his brother. It's called Lamin Sonko. Then he said that. He said he has one cow belonging to Ablai.
So
Then Ablai told him to sell that cow and give me the money. So he has another friend there. That friend bought the cow.
So
after he bought that cow, $1,200, he gave us the money. He gave the money to Ablai.
So
then we returned. Come to Senegal. When we reached Karang,
so
then I told Ablai that up now this money is not enough for us because we have to do certain things and it will be out of this money. And we have to take care of our feeding too. Because in those days we were based at Sokone. But when Swandi was arrested, we left Sokone. We went to Kaulak. So when we reached Kaulak, then we decided to separate. Because Kaulak is a very big town. We can disperse. So as far as the Senegalese government wanted to arrest us one by one, but when we disperse and stay there like that, they will not be aware of us. Because they asked Swandi, and they asked him, where are your other people? Swandi said to them that I will not inform you, I will not tell you the place. And if you fail to release our other people, and you don't release me, you will hear something else.
So very okay.
So when they refused to do that, so I came and took some money from Ablai. I told Ablai, now wait for me to go and see my people. That was the time when I came to our village, Jara Pakalinding. But when I was reaching that village, it was in the rainy season when women were transplanting.
So very musoliamo kon natale.
When the ladies heard that I have returned,
So bama nyol membe faroro.
my mother who were at the rice fields,
All be nata.
they all came.
Or da fara tep.
Compound became full
Bari amda kon fara le foi na mungola fam.
because they also thought that I was there. They even gave out charity for me.
So kamala nara mo kon nata do.
Then after they heard that I have returned,
So momo damando hanim men be sata o konoji.
every person, even those in the village,
So all be nata kordar konoji.
they all came to the compound.
So time
At that time,
so nara fam fama ko.
then I told my father,
Mantilim fama
I didn't explain the truth. I didn't tell him the truth.
fani ala fam fama ko malla fa na plano.
I told him a lie because I didn't want him to know our plans.
Bari na lo.
Because if he knew,
Aba fana nyala kanda.
he will tell me not to go.
Wala na nganu ko.
This is why I decided to hide things
Malla
from
fi
him.
nimmen donda kola.
And I didn't want to disappoint those whom I had arrangement with.
Ba dol be muto hono.
Because some of them were already in custody.
Dol be batar in Senegal.
Some were suffering in Senegal.
Aninde na ngantelem fama iro.
Then if I come and tell my father the truth,
Lafta men na bulu.
what I want from him,
Da so labul.
I will not get it.
So wala no fana man so nantelin na.
So this is why I didn't tell him the truth.
Buru ba jala men beye.
So that those who were there,
Ni sikana.
those people also will be safe.
So buru na ranka ko nimmuto lenar.
So when I came, I told him that I came with vehicles,
Bare ngejindi Senegal poro.
but they are at the Senegalese port.
Basa na ko do bandale.
But my money is finished.
So buru na ko do banda nyanda motol bondel.
So as far as I have no money and I want to take out these vehicles,
So akonyo ko eni moto jellenar.
he asked me, how many vehicles did you come
Ani
with?
moto sabalenar.
I told him that I came with 3
I
vehicles.
was saying nara puru yama ko kodor.
So now I am here for you to help me to get some money.
So anara fonyo ko.
Then he told me,
Konyo ko te larum bulde.
I don't have any money kept with
Konyo
me.
saying fo ni sol membe mbuli jang.
Now, except for the cattle I have here,
Fonsi wo wafi.
I have to sell some of them.
So anara ni si fula wafi.
Then he sold 2 cattle.
So ni si doni.
One of the cows,
Awo wafi no.
he sold it
Uli killing.
1,100.
Keme killing. Ni si doni.
The other cow,
Ni si musolam.
it was a female cow,
Bara korotal.
but it was an old one.
Anara o boyro wafi keme sei.
He sold that easily, cheaply for $800.
Awo ni ajen ka in kumamfoten.
The reason why I am narrating this thing like
Man
this,
ken tedda mal mum fama dingoti.
I was not the only son of my father.
Nga fo pour samale kama pour dingolu membe koma.
I want to say this because of the ones behind,
Ay salo wo nyama.
they will know.
Bari ku jamala ka fo akono dal.
Because so many things are being said about this thing.
So bari wulula dunga ala baluwo wato.
Because a parent during his lifetime,
Ay femfen ke
whatever he does for you,
wo mula ka kolti nate mato wo mantra miraso kono.
that will not be part of the inheritance
I
that's
saw
between
that.
the two of you that has been given to you as a gift.
Bara taringo kola.
But after his departure,
Ay femfen du koma.
whatever he leaves behind
So wo be miraso la
will
kono.
all be part of the inheritance.
So wala nanka en kuma senande pour jama sa kalam da wonyama.
This is why I want to clarify this point so that
Tumandobaro-
those who were not in the know, they will know what has
The
happened.
mistake ta menna wo ko kono.
If I make any mistake in it,
Sa imamul be janne.
you have imams,
So,
Isim ma koy wala.
let them help me.
yes, we understand that it's important for you, but that's very personal. So now let's move on. Your father sold his 2 cows. And what did he do with the money?
Sai fama ya lawo ninsi fulolo wafi. Ayo kodo kenyadi le.
Bra oni si fulolo wafi.
After he sold those 2 cows,
Kodo nyin
the money,
dinna.
he gave it to me.
Falling safer.
And I changed it to CFA francs.
Barum fama.
But my father,
Adi wonya amandra larende kom sa keba.
as an elder, he was not very, very trustful about me.
Be sobirin because amandra laren kuna.
He was suspicious. He was not completely sure of
Bar ngala hakilota pour ka tengundi.
But I tried to calm him down.
Pour ka
so that I can convince him, so that he will trust me.
So
in that, despite all that, he told me, if you are going, you will go with somebody.
So
that person, I had a grandfather there. He was staying at Soma. But I was staying with him in Libya at one time. Because that man is used to me. He was called Hamba Kante, but he is already of late.
So
I went with that man. But when we reached Kaulach, he didn't know how I disappeared from him. Because I just disappeared from him. He was not even aware. I thought, so when he sat down there and didn't see me, he came back to the Gambia. So when he came, that's what he told my father. He said to my father that, well, that man just disappeared away from me.
So but
when he came, before he went to narrate that incident to my father, it took some time. Because he was also in doubt what to tell my father. Because according to our relationship, my father was also his son.
So
this is why he was thinking.
So saying
now.
So I
took that money. I sat with Ablai. Plus the other guys we were with there. Then I told them that. I told Ablai that there is a way I used to take. If Yajame is holding a meeting like at Ndungu Kebe, there is a road which I used to take to go via Kermalik Sar.
So
I used to meet an old man there. His soul name is Kamara. But now I have forgotten his name. Because it was a long time.
So single barrel
single barrel rifles.
Because I used to meet him manufacturing these single barrel local rifles.
So
then I told him that. I told him that I need one of these two things. He asked me, how many do you need? I told him I need 3 of these. He said, okay.
So another charge.
Then he charged me. After he charged me, I advanced some money.
So
the rest of the money, that's what we were used for feed. That's what we used for feeding.
So
before he was ready with the manufacture of those guns,
so
the money we had exhausted.
So
after the money got finished, we sat down again. I said to Ablai, Senegal is very difficult and we are not employed. We don't have money. Now our money is finished. And it is from your family we are getting a little bit of support. And now they are also tired. I said to him, now, let me use my knowledge again. Let me go back to my father. If I go there, when I reach him, I will use my knowledge. If I have some money from him, if I come, we can use that. We can take care of our needs and move. So when I came, I didn't go to our home. I passed. I went to Soma. When I reached Soma, I went to my grandfather. When I met him there, he was panicked. He put his hand on his mouth.
So
He told me, how did you just disappear from me? I told him, I will not tell you that. I told him that knowledge, I cannot tell you.
Your uncle did not study in Kanuma.
According to his narration, is his grandfather.
Oh, grandfather.
No, he didn't.
Okay, proceed.
Learn in Kanuma.
So when
I reached him, I discussed with him. I told him when I left, I saw somebody else, and he said he was going to help me. This is why I was unable to come back to you. And during that time, it took me some time. And I told him, let me go back. I left my grandfather at a certain place so that I can see him. So I said to him, but when I came back to the place, I didn't meet you at the place where I left you. But that was a lie.
So
that's what I told him.
So
then I left there. Then I came back to Pakali. I went to my father again. When my father saw me, he said to me, he told me that the person you went with said you disappeared from him. I said, no, that's what he thought. He didn't see me, that's why. I told him that I met somebody.
On this particular occasion, were you able to get more money from your father?
Yes, I got some money from him again.
And then you returned to Kaulak?
Yes, I went back to Kaulak.
And in the end, did you acquire the guns?
Yes, when I went back to Kaulak,
so narata
I went to the man who makes those guns. I paid the rest of his money.
So Balo.
The other part of the money.
So how many guns did you acquire?
3.
And what did you do after you acquired these guns?
So when we got those guns, because at that time I had some money. That old man, I said to him, I need bullets for a single barrel gun. So he said, okay, I will help you. So I gave him some money. He knew how he got those things. But when he gave it to me with the single barrel, I went back. I bought a bag of coos. This single barrel, I dismantled it. Plus the bullet, I put them all inside this bag of coos. I made it in a way.
So not traveled
I traveled with it from Senegal up to Farafenye.
How many of you came?
The first trip I was alone. I came alone. That was what I brought.
Any disturbance I
had no disturbance or any problems on the way coming. So wherever I reach, people help me quickly. That one also was because of something else. That's another knowledge. You see something, but you cannot talk about it. You cannot even ask about it.
So
This is how I did until I reached.
So when
I reached the compound where Kabiro's younger brother was staying,
so
they also saw it as a bag of kus.
So
when I went in there with that bag of kus,
so
the following day in the evening, if I remember, that's the time when my people arrived.
So
So Ablai Songo,
if I can remember, Ablai Sonko,
Kabiro
Dembajang, Ramojiba,
Suleiman Sar, Esa Balde, Yaya
Drame,
and in the phone.
Plus myself.
How about Omar Damfa?
Umar Damfa.
And Omar Damfa. Yes.
We
are the people who came.
Okay, and then what happened?
So,
when we reached that place,
so
we spent the night there.
So,
the old man inside the compound, the yard owner,
so
when I reached there, but I told him, that I'm a businessman.
So counterpart no labatu sambi mina.
I'm waiting for my counterparts who will soon come.
So
when they arrived, I told him these are my business partners. But we came with certain things. But some of our merchandise are still behind. That's what we are waiting for. But it has not yet arrived. Because we should sit down and chart and plan how we are going to enter the Farafenya camp.
So
in that, so that they will not even suspect us. Because if they suspect us, everything will fail. So when I did that, we sat down.
So when
my people came, the first night, we went to try and go in, but we arrived close to daybreak.
So
then we decided to leave it that day. We went back. But when we went back, the second night, when we came, before we reached the place, we checked our guns for whether they will function. Then we realized that the guns were not good.
Because
the firing pins. The firing pins.
So
it was weak. To be able to hit the bullet to fire, it was weak. But despite all that, we said, let's just take them along. So we came up to a place. So when we reached the fence, there were parts of the fence which fell down. So those were the areas we used. So there was a new building. That new building, we went behind that new building. So when we went nearer, we met two soldiers there. When we got near to them, so that they will not know that we are having something, so we decided to put down those single barrel guns. We placed them behind the new building. So we put our torchlights on them. So after putting the torchlights on them, We threatened them.
We scared them.
We scared them, yes. When we scared them, we said to them, you people are smoking. Because we found them smoking cigarettes. And a soldier. If you are at a checkpoint or on guard duty,
because I
don't know about Gambian soldiers, but the way I was trained, when you are on guard duty or at a checkpoint, you shouldn't smoke, because the smoke and the fire can be seen at a distance.
So when
we scared them, saying to them that, you people are smoking here.
So
we used our military tactics. Because the Arabs used to teach you, they will teach you certain things. If they teach you about that, when you reach a person, if you use that system on that person, then that person will become scared.
So
when we put the torchlights on them and used that tactic, that's how they placed down their guns and they ran away.
How many of them?
At that point, we found 2 people there.
So
when we scared them, they placed their guns down and ran away.
So
this is how we picked up those guns. When we took the AK guns, we shot in the air.
So
after shooting in the air,
so
those were
communication
those who were in the rooms at the communication center and other places, because we went in there at 3 a.m.
So
So when we went in at that time, after shooting in the air,
so
those who were in the rooms also decided to take flight. You can hear their noise running inside the grass.
So
that time, that's the time when we advanced. We went to the armory. When we reached the armory,
so at
that time, Esa Balde, he had an iron bar.
So
the padlocks on the doors,
so
we decided to destroy those padlocks.
So
then we opened the armory. After opening the armory, we all were now able to acquire guns.
So
after we got those guns, because at that time it was dark,
so and
at the camp, inside the camp there at that time, all the lights were put off.
So okay.
When they did that,
so
we also didn't go anywhere.
So
we were at the armory. They were around their bachelor's headquarters.
So
they used to shoot towards us. And we also returned fire in the darkness.
So
and I realized that there was one big gun they had, and it's called a mortar.
So
they used to fire that at us, but they didn't know that we have certain knowledge whereby if you are in a war field, if you are not surprised by a bullet, if you hear the sound of the bullet coming like big guns like a mortar, you can be able even to talk to it. And you can tell the bullet, go and lie down there, and the bullet will go and lie down.
What kind of knowledge is that?
So albeje all katra so that isake no ni si fenyo bara isake no anyhow.
That's a knowledge
you
which you can apply on a cow tail or even your hand. Wherever you point, that's where the bullet will go and land.
Where did you learn that one?
Yo londo karambindole.
Londo karam kabru Libya and Liberia.
I learned that knowledge in Libya and Liberia. But many of those type of knowledges, I learned that in Liberia. Because there were certain knowledges whereby the indigenes of Liberia, even a child of 10 years, if he tells you, I will make a juju for you to protect you from bullets, if you look low on him, you will regret.
You really believe that?
Yes, I believe it. Because if they make it for you, they don't go anywhere. They will tell you to test it there instantly. If they make it for you, they will tell you to test it there instantly. And if you test it there, sometimes you will see that the magazine of the AK-47, you will see only water coming out of the gun.
Mr. Witness, do you know how many people died in the Liberian war out of bullet wounds?
I know.
Where were those champs?
A bullet that is meant to kill a person, and the bullet which should touch you, it has no chance to defy it. You don't even hear the noise of the bullet coming. A bullet that is supposed to kill you, you don't even hear it's coming. And a bullet that is supposed to reach you, you don't even hear it's coming. You just see that a bullet has reached you. But there are some things like that. Because every country has its own genes. Some jujus, if they make it for you, if you deny your marabu, if you deny your marabu, you will regret. But sometimes I think
so maybe
that might also be the reason.
Okay. This is all very interesting, but let's just go back to the issue. They were shooting at you with mortars, and how did you respond? How did you manage?
So after that,
so
we were there. They were shooting at us. We were also shooting them in darkness.
Any casualties? Were there any casualties?
No.
No.
Did you guys kill any one of them?
No.
No.
Do you realize that a person called Papa Keita and another person called Sekou Sidibe died there?
I don't know even those people.
But you were sitting in the dark, so you did not know whether anybody was hit.
Honey, because it will find boom. Funny case because it will allow Bundro, Keso and the man sing.
Yes, because when we were exchanging bullets, when we were shooting at each other, it was in darkness. Because even myself, a bullet struck me on my leg. Bullet also broke the leg of Suleiman Sar.
But obviously for that one, you did not see it, so you could not order it to fall down on the side.
No, I didn't see that because an AK bullet and a big gun bullet They are different.
But this one, you could not make the AK to produce water instead of bullet.
Banyin sila do AK ima tamandino pura geo findindi akana keso findindi.
When I was going into that place, every country has its own genes.
So it will balandang 10.
They are also they are jujus. If we want to use them in our country here, it won't work.
The ones that make the bullets into water, they only work in Liberia.
Amunda menka geo bondi keso fali geo faling.
Menka keso faling kake geoti.
Oka tama Liberia.
So
which ones would work in Gambia?
Gambia jano jumal tama.
Gambia nying akamun accept.
There's another knowledge.
How did you react after you were hit?
When I was hit, when I was hit, I had a rag, a red one. I tied my thigh with that red rag.
So when
I tied it with that piece of cloth until it was strong, I went on along with my operation.
How about Suleiman Sar?
When Suleiman Sar was hit by the bullet, it broke his leg.
So
that's why he was unable to continue, and he cannot continue. What we did later was, you took him out of the camp.
So
we looked for a cart. We put him on top of that cart. The owner of the car took him further.
So another
taxi picked him up from there.
So where samba for border
and took him up to the border. Because the Faravere camp, after our attack, when they broke, true, we were strangers at that time in the Gambia. But when it was daybreak, we had support inside the town. The amount of people who were coming, those who wanted to join us, it was too much. Maybe there are people who come from Farafenya itself. If they hear that,
why did they not join?
So,
because we refused.
Why?
The reason why we didn't want that, because at that time when it was daybreak,
so you will not
know who is who. And in a military situation, if you are doing something, you are always suspicious at all times. Don't trust all people. Some will come and tell you that we want to join you. If you take out a gun and give it to them, you don't know whether he is an enemy. This is why we refuse.
So what did you do in the morning after having, helped Suleiman Sar evacuated from the scene? What did you do?
When it was daybreak,
so
every place was clear. We were able to recognize places. We saw a pickup parked near a long house, a building, a long-sided building. We went around that area.
So when
we went around there, myself and Yaya Drame, if I can remember, with Kabiro,
so
when we reached the pickup,
So mbeje
we were there.
so ngaje bungo kono
We saw that inside the building,
ngaje fengo kama rido
we saw a curtain being moved.
ngaje rido kama
When we saw that curtain moving,
so ngaje amari fengere da ay lal jiwabe lal sunyaro jiwe
and the person inside was peeping outside, looking around.
so biringa ujerro
When we saw that,
so ngai findina
we told him to come out.
so aninki javaro
He was scared and came out.
so abiranara
When he came,
so yara fa ila kambu kumandala
on the whole, he was the camp commander.
so lord laroje
At that instant,
so waro anara fa nyandelo mo la kambu kumandari
he informed us that he was the camp commander.
akonya barsa ina sojarol be em filije ni mboro yeko
He told me, but now all my soldiers have abandoned me. They've run away.
so sai
Now,
nara fa sai be sulari ni moro
then we told him that we need this vehicle.
so ay moro chabo dina
He gave us the car, the keys of the vehicle.
so ya drama
So Yaya Drame,
ra ay moro nole
he's a able driver.
so ay moro nyumala
He ignited the vehicle.
nara amoro ning ila kambu kumandani
We came to the armory with the camp commander himself.
birum furara amoro ni
When we reached the armory,
so kidol membe kono roje
the guns which were inside,
e be bonde
we took them all out.
e bulande amoro nyonkon ke bulande pick up
We
nyonkon
put them on board the pickup.
so mankunje
They were all unable to fit inside the pickup.
so lora silo kan sila ba kan silo men kara bar
We stood on the main road, the road that leads to the river.
so ara fanko do jele ti do kana
There was one Gelegele vehicle which was coming.
so ara ndenen kabiro tarawor
Myself and Kabiro, we went there.
so biru lora je
When we stood there,
so subaju no
in that early morning,
so biru jele nyam futara
when the Gelegele arrived,
so ngalonde
we stopped it.
biru ngalonde
After stopping it,
so nganyinenka
we asked him,
fo nyin men be moto kon
we asked him, these people on board your vehicle,
fo ye jole ba
did they pay you?
ko e manjo folode
He said, they have not yet paid me.
so tonya
Truly,
kay ko sai jindi
I told him to tell them to disembark from the
ko
vehicle
dolbe sular moto
because we need this vehicle.
so biri jita
So when they disembarked,
so ngomoto nyin dunanin drive onye
we decided to take the vehicle.
Did you force the driver using your weapons?
Are you drive on force le kan kidol nyin tala tanda
yes
Yes.
so biranara
When he came,
biradundana kambo kono
when he came into the
so
camp,
kidi tol membe je
the rest of the guns,
e dunde moto nyin kono
we put them on board that vehicle.
Why did you empty the armory?
na le kidi mabod la nyimbe ale je be kidol be bondi je fa 15 ans
ni aje ngawoke
Reason for doing that,
na misono mende
what our mission was
manke farafanyere
not Farafenye.
na misono mende
What our mission
wala mu
was
state house or
is State House.
so malabi purka kidi to koma
We didn't want to leave any gun behind.
ni kido to koma
If you leave guns
ay
behind,
soldier rol membe
the soldiers who were behind,
as keno
it's possible that
bida yo kidolta
they will come and take those guns
agency
and against us.
so ni parera na purka mansa kya bonde
If you are ready to topple a king
be
or a
parera
ruler,
kido soro de
you have to be ready to get a gun.
ni man keso ni man kido soro
Didn't Kukoi know that?
ku koy mawolong
and waro ku ko I am filejira tar
No,
When he gave you the pistol for hunting birds,
Yeah,
did he realize you needed guns?
bini wa ayo kidi ningo dialla o kidi no me ko hani pura de maran fa malo no ni bida nyin kusi fala isula kidola
a koida ma ku ko mu soja rol
it's clear to him. Kukoi is a soldier. He was very good, intelligent, because he was a Zandam before. He knew, but he was just unable to get the right ones.
Maybe I know them,
The place where he was supposed to get this help from or acquire arms, he was unable to. So this is why I think he decided to acquire those guns, the ones which were only used for against birds.
So now it's daybreak. They removed all the weapons from the armory. You have 2 vehicles. What did you do?
Silang fano fela keta. Ale tata ale moto fula soro. Silang ale moto fula soro ale amore nyinga ya kenza yandi. Mune nata nake.
Ila amore ni ani communication ol be nga be samba. To nako ala.
We cleared the armory and even the communication equipment, we took it all away. We put them all on board the vehicle.
So
after putting those things in the vehicle, I can say that we were in charge of the town of Farafenye till 11 o'clock in the morning.
So
that's the time when we left the camp. He said, let's head towards Banjul.
So on
our way coming,
which bank did you take?
We took the road leading towards Kerawan in Nyomi. That's the road we took.
But from
we came all the way to Bobolong, near to Kontakunda Niji.
So when
we were about to reach that place,
so
there are river there.
So ngaje motodoka bonang ila Kerawan.
We saw a vehicle coming from the Kerawan end.
So
when we saw that vehicle,
lampo bakan sando.
It has a light on top. We realized that it was a military vehicle.
So
when they also saw us coming, they stopped. We also stopped. When we stopped,
so
civilians came on their side. Because they were close to the junction.
So they
called the civilians. When they called the civilians,
so
they decided to place those people on the main road.
As human shields?
Yes.
So your system all use.
That's the system they used.
Do you know who was the commander of the soldiers that you encountered?
After
we were arrested, we later came to find out that it was Peter Singate.
Proceed.
So,
when we met up with them there, when they brought those civilians, we realized that, yeah, we had a big gun, an RPG,
because RPG near long.
Because if you know that RPG,
near Bundularo,
if you shoot a certain place, however big the building is, it will disintegrate.
So but
then we realized that that is not our mission. If we shoot these people, because they left their vehicle on the main road and placed civilians on the road, and they themselves ran away and went into the bush. They left the main road. Because the civilians there weren't even aware of what was happening. So many of them were there. Some were standing in front of the vehicle, others were standing on the road. They wanted to know what was going on.
So what did you do?
If you shoot there, you are going to kill only civilians.
So then
we realized that. Well, as for this, we have failed.
So
let's disperse.
So
that was the time when we dispersed.
So
when we dispersed,
so now
the time when we were dispersing, each and everyone decided to plan where you are supposed to go by.
So you
take that way for yourself.
So
at that time, I came and placed my gun.
So
after putting down my gun, I took the main road. I went up to the point where I reached the civilians. to their vehicle. When I reached their vehicle, but by that time they have all run away. They were in the bush. So I passed. I went all the way to the main junction. When I reached the junction, I met a policeman there. I found that place also full. I found a friend there. They call him Bakari Conte. We were together in Libya. So when he saw me, by that time I was bleeding. I have already tied my leg and I was still bleeding. He asked me, Balo, where are you coming from? I said to him, I am coming from Farafenye. But our vehicle met with these people on the way. And they were shooting each other. During that shootout, a bullet hit me. I didn't want him to know who I am and where I was coming from. So at that time there was a policeman. So because that Bakari Conte, he decided that because he knew me. So he told me, let me carry you to my home so that this thing can be treated. But the policeman, he said to him, no, I don't trust this man. I'm going to arrest him. So when the policeman told me that I will arrest you, he said, I don't trust you, I'll arrest you. I didn't resist. No problem. I said to him, no problem. So at that time, when we were discussing there, the vehicle owned by Save the Children arrived. So when it stopped, he talked to them. So they told him that bring him and put him on board the vehicle. Because there were only 2 people on board the vehicle. So that's how they put me on board that vehicle. They took me to Kerawan. So when we arrived at Kerawan, for Kerawan police station, up to the Kerawan police station, when we reached that place, policeman do Trrc police station. We found one man sitting at the police station. So when we reached the place, so they took my things from me. So because I had some charms on me. So they took away those charms. Plus my jacket. And some other things which were on me. So they took all those things from me. So from there, so that's how they brought me. So the policeman we found sitting there said to him, take him to the hospital. So when I was taken to the hospital, the moment I arrived at the hospital, I was there. These police was discussing with the doctors. They were there. Then I saw some vehicles arriving. But it looks like they were Red Cross vehicles. So when they arrived, some people came in. When they came in, inside the hospital, they were discussing among themselves. So in those discussions, some were saying we trust this man, some were saying no, we don't trust this man. Some said no, now let's take him to Banjul. But we will not put him on board this vehicle. Before we put him on board the vehicle, we will inject him so that he will pass out. So that was the time I was injected. Those who were over me, the person who injected me is a woman, was a woman. I don't know the name of that woman. Because there were many people there, but they don't want me to recognize any one of them.
So
after I was injected,
so
that's how I became flat.
So I
think that was the time when they put me on board a vehicle.
So
by the time I woke up, that was at the NIA gates.
So
Mr. Kante, perhaps maybe we can leave it at that for the lunch break.
Fine, we'll take a 1 hour lunch break and then come back at 2:30. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.